Once upon a time, Crash Bandicoot was invented. Crash Bandicoot, the GNU game, was invented by a team called Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog worked and created the new world of Crash Bandicoot back in 1995. They worked on it, and then by 1996 the game was released. In 1995, Naughty Dog started to invent Crash Bandicoot, although they didn't come up with that name right away. At first, his name was actually Willy the Wombat. How interesting. Anyway, their idea was to create Willy the Wombat character similar to the Tasmanian Devil in Looney Tunes. As seen by these concept arts, these were drawn back in 1995. These were of Willy the Wombat. Soon, they came up with the idea for him being a bandicoot. And since the game was all about crashing into crates by spinning, they named him Crash. That's where that comes from. Crash Bandicoot is very successful. The first game was extremely successful. As of 2003, 6.8 million copies were sold worldwide. The first game was the best game ever made on PlayStation 1. It was extremely popular in Japan, which is a very strange thing for a Western game to be. And it might even be the most popular character in all of Japan for video games.
Stop looking at me.
What's wrong with these people? Never see a bandicoot before?
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here.
Check it out. What do you think about that? We got real-time, 3D, lush organic environments. How's that make you feel, buddy?
Feel a little like your days are numbered?
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You're hurting my elbow.
Is that Italian?
No, Bandicoot. It's an Australian name.
The characters of Crash Bandicoot the game includes Crash Bandicoot himself, a hero who needs to stop the evil Dr. Neocortex. Dr. Neocortex wants to take over the world, and he has lots of nice plans. Now he's thinking of making super soldiers, you understand, with Dr. Embryo. Dr. Neocortex and Dr. Embryo have the amazing device called the Evolvo Ray. The Evolvo Ray changes normal animals into super animals. Really, Dr. Embryo invented the Evolvo Ray, but Dr. Cortex was much more persistent, and so he took credit for making it. But it was absolutely not his idea. It was Embryo's idea. That was so mean of Cortex. Anyway, Cortex is mean and bad. And Embryo is slightly sensitive and quiet. He listens to the Cortex. Oh, not such a great partnership.
Whoa, wait a minute. What's with that N on his head?
Well, no one really knows. I mean,
come on.
It's just for decoration.
Well, do you think that's like a birthmark or something? That's why he's so crazy, like he's supposed to take over the world.
That's a very good idea, but it'll probably never be official. I'm sorry.
Come on. I mean, if I were Embryo, I would be like, come on, what's wrong with you? I don't even know if there's a guy with an N on his head.
What do you gotta say, buddy? Don't interrupt me. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. Cortex had a plan to make super soldiers. With the super soldiers, he could take over the world. And so, using the Evolvo Ray, he started working on some operations with different animals. Oh, these crazy things he made go from Ripperoo to Pinstripe. Craziness, yes. Now, the island where his castle is off the coast of Australia.
Whoa, Australia? So it's like here in the world? Whoa, okay. So there's really somebody with an N on his head? There's really bandicoots and Evolvo Rays?
No, islands, just imaginary. Oh, stop interrupting me. Anyway, these islands are off the coast of Australia, and Cortex made a castle on his own, and it's called Cortex Island. Cortex Island has lots of toxic waste just coming out from all his factory stuff he's making. Anyway, Cortex said, that's it. It's time to start a Bandicoot I'm gonna try. So, Cortex went ahead and went out, la-da-da, over to another one of the islands that are out there, called Insanity Island, and he found a lovely Bandicoot. So he grabbed a bunch of lovely Bandicoots and took them to his castle, and began experimenting on them with the Evolver Ray. But he won't obey, and he's too nice. This Bandicoot is named Crash. Since Crash was too nice, Dr. Neocortex just got rid of him, threw out the window. Yep, get out of here. So anyway, Crash Bandicoot fell into the sea, and who cares about him? Dr. Neocortex continued his experiments, and ended up Tawana. But one thing is, Crash was in love with Tawana, and Crash wanted revenge. This is how our story begins. Crash Bandicoot gets washed up back at his home island, Insanity. He has to get back to the Cortex Island and stop Cortex from his evil plans and save Tawana. This is our story. Crash Bandicoot has to get past a couple nasty foes. On his own island, Insanity Island, Crash meets Papu Papu, leader of the villagers. The leader. Crash has to fight him, and he wins.
Whoa, so the tiny little Bandicoot guy defeats the giant fat guy.
Well,
What does he do with that?
I mean, stop interrupting me. Okay, so anyway, then he goes to a different island, but it's not Cortex Island. He finds a different island. It's a tree island or something. Anyway, here he meets Ripperoo. So he hit the Ripperoo, jumps around, and has terrible toenails.
Terrible toenails? What kind of story is this?
I told you to be quiet. Okay, these terrible toenails. Yes, razor sharp, jump. Good thing there's a couple gigantic, huge TNTs to help. Yay! Crash Bandicoot continues through. This is the second island. Crash Bandicoot comes to a volcano on this island and meets Koala Khan. Extremely strong, but kind of dumb. Crash easily defeats him.
Wait, how does he defeat him?
Well, with rocks and stuff, because it's like a mining volcano.
How do you mine stuff on a volcano?
You have too many questions. Stop interrupting me. Oh boy.